Okay, I'm in one of the classrooms of the marketing department, which is where I work as a student assistant at the University of Akron. So I've been recommended to tell the story on how I got a saxophone for free. So this is the story. It all started in the summer when no, it started before the summer. The around April, no, around May, my senior year of high school. I'm a college freshman right now. Around May 2022, I was in my personal finance class. We had a guest speaker named Jimmy Malone. Jimmy Malone is a scholarship founder, scholarship donor, and he was coming to my personal finance class to give a lecture on if college is right for you and a little bit of life advice. My personal finance teacher let Jimmy Malone know beforehand. So hey, I think you should talk to Anthony. He's a bright student. And then she also told me Jimmy is a great guy and he's looking to help great students like you. You should speak to him, talk to him during class, and see if you can have breakfast with him, because that's what he does when he meets new students that he's interested in. So he came in, he was given his lecture, and then halfway through the lecture, he asked everyone, he was like, do you believe success is more luck or hard work? And everybody raised their hand for hard work except for me. And then he said, what about luck? And then I raised my hand. And he was like, okay, noted. And she didn't tell him what I looked like, but she knew. She told him, keep an eye out for Anthony Johnson. So then I talked to him after his lecture, after our class, and then I shared some ideas, some of the things I wanted to do, specifically as an entrepreneur, and if college is right for me. And he was like, let's have breakfast. So then that Saturday, or the Saturday after that, I believe that Saturday, we had breakfast. We went to a small diner in Lakewood. It was about a 20-minute bike ride for me. Met him, and then three of his other students. Actually, no, that's before the diner. Sorry. So before the diner, I met him in Cleveland with three of his other scholarship recipients, and then we just spoke on why do we want to go to college, what do we want to do after college, and where do we see ourselves in 20 years. And then after sharing what I wanted to do, as an entrepreneur, my goal is financial freedom. I want to do whatever I want with money, and I want to be able to use my money to help other people, and then document my story so I can help others who are curious or confused on what they want to do. So after sharing that and my focus in business, and then sharing my knowledge that I learned just through doing research through YouTube on business and money, understanding money, he was impressed, and he was like, hey, I think you should talk to a guy named Kevin Smith. So then Kevin Smith is the director of the Leadership Institute Academy at the University of Akron. So he gave me his phone. He gave me Kevin's number. I called him, and then he didn't answer, but I left just a long voicemail, because I was like, man, this is just what I want to do. Because at the time, I was looking at Hiram, because I got pretty much a full ride, but it was not what I wanted. My plan was to, when I go to Hiram for the next 4 years, everything I learned is just from YouTube and the different courses I take online. Nothing that's actually related to Hiram, but I'll go there anyway. Yes, it sounds really bad, and it was going to be bad. So I was like, look, I'm just going to put myself out there and just tell him everything. So then he called me the next day. He was like, hey, this is Kevin. We had a long conversation. I told him a brief life story, my life story, but nothing too deep, not too many details, but my life story pretty much. He was impressed, and he said, I think you should talk to Roger Reed. So I didn't know who Roger Reed was at the time, but he said just recommended me to talk to him. So the next week later, after scheduling a time I could call Roger Reed and got his phone number, I was like, hey, this is Anthony. It's nice to meet you. Kevin Smith recommended for me to speak to you. So I spoke to Roger Reed. You could hear it. I could hear it. He was an old guy over the phone, and he was just sharing his stuff, and he was just very impressed by what I was trying to do. He was like, okay. And he said, I recommend going to University of Akron. We have the business resources that you're looking for, especially for starting your own business and understanding business. So I said, all right. I got people who recommend to go to the University of Akron in business. I did a little bit of research. I was like, University of Akron? It's a solid college I just never heard of. That's in Akron, Ohio, 40 minutes away from Lakewood. So then I was like, you know what? I can either go to Hiram, pay a whole bunch of money. Either way, I mean, they're still paying for me, but that's still my time though. That's time I could use to do something that I gotta do on the side, or have University of Akron to be more of the main thing. I know there's gonna be classes that I'm not gonna need, and then there's gonna be a point in my life where, exactly right now, where I think I can learn all of this by myself, but I digress. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go all in. I'm going to University of Akron. So applied, and then on the day of the, I think it was the application deadline, May 1st, or like right before it, around 10 p.m., I was like, you know what, Mom? I'm going to the University of Akron. My mom was like, what? Because I didn't tell her anything about her, but I told her a little bit and some of the people I met, but she didn't know that I've been seriously considering going to the University of Akron. So I paid the deposit. I was like, I'm just going to do this. And then they called me and they're like, hey, Anthony, we've received your application. We'd love to have you. Oh, yes, they said that beforehand. So I'd love to have you, and we will put you in a summer program as well. So I joined the summer program, 1 month, 2 college courses, a few company visits, Schmuckers, the Akron Rubber Ducks, and a military boot camp just for leadership. That was cool. Throughout the summer program, I was able to take the college courses I did well in. Also, for a scholarship convention, I met Roger Reed for the first time. We spoke. And he was like, all right, I want to keep a tab on you, Anthony. It sounds good what you're going to do. Let's see what you do. Throughout the program, I did well. Created a great project called the Homeless Breaching Experiment for my Introduction to Sociology project. I did well in my final presentation for the Summer Leadership Academy. I got A's in both of my classes. And I was a leader for the, at the military boot camp. So I did a whole bunch. I was pretty much doing pretty well. I was doing good. I was going to bed a good time, eating healthy, just all good things. So then, continue on, I speak to Roger Reed again. He's like, Anthony, you're doing really well. I heard great things from you. Let's talk again. So we talked. I shared a little bit what I'm doing and what I've done. He's like, wow, very impressed. And then sometimes I encounter a few scams along the way. Not really scams, but companies like Amway and Cutco, where I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. This sounds too good to be true. And then this is things I can learn on my own. You're kind of taking advantage of students and whatever. But I digress. He's like, wow, Anthony, I'm really impressed that you're able to figure this stuff up on your own. You're doing so well. So I know it. Just keep on doing what you're doing. Create your own experiences. All these experiences that you're getting, those are yours. And you continue building. You're building your story. So that's what I continue to do. So around 3 weeks ago, he was like, hey, Anthony, let's have lunch. I would like to see you again. So I was like, let's meet here at this time. So we met at the College of Business around 2 p.m. And he was like, Anthony, I know you played the saxophone. I don't want to give it away yet. But he came in. We did our normal conversation. Then he had a guest come in with obviously a saxophone case. And I just explained to her, told her who I am, what am I doing at University of Akron, and how has University of Akron helped me. I can't say everything about the conversation because I feel like that may be classified or like too much information. But I will say, she was like, hey, you're doing well. So I spoke to someone else and I told them their story and how you play saxophone. So as a gift to your hard work, we got you a saxophone. and that's how I got a saxophone for free.